Hi, and welcome to the Crit Hit Wild podcast, where we cover all things Marvel Crisis Protocol, and we do a new character every week. This week we'll be covering Iceman, and I'm your host, Fred.
Brad.
I'm Brandon.
I'm Steven.
That I'm
Why
not.
don't
I'm not like a host, but I'm a guest. I'm Jared.
Hey, Jared's back, everybody.
Yeah,
We got him back. We
it's
roped him back in.
my
Hook,
time
line,
to
and sinker.
pop in periodically every once in a while.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you back.
It's good to be back.
Yeah. So Brad is feeling a little under the weather, as you can probably tell by the sound of his voice. So he will be talking very limitedly, but he's doing us a favor of attending. So let's begin talking about some of the news that has come out from AMG over the past week. We now have the full cards for Iceman and Professor X. So we're excited to share that stuff with you. We also know of 2 new tactics cards that have dropped over this past week. They are specific ones for Xavier and Shadow King. And they are called Mind Wipe for Professor X. And dang it. What was the other one called?
Astral Plane.
Astral Plane. That's what I must have scrolled. Yeah, there it is. Astral Plane for Shadow King. I think that we're gonna save that Professor X one for next week because we will be covering Professor X. But are you guys up to talk about Astral Plane real quick? Because I think it's quite good. I have it pulled up, so I'll read it out loud. So Astral Plane, it is unaffiliated and reactive. And during the power phase, Shadow King may spend 1 power to play this card. Choose a secure objective token and place the Astral Incursion token on it. Enemy characters suffer 1 damage when they end an activation within range 1 of the Astral Incursion, and when they interact with the objective token marked by the Astral Incursion. During the next cleanup phase, remove all Astral Incursion tokens. So let's talk about this. The Astral Incursion is the thing that lets Shadow King attack from that location instead of from himself. And people who have mystic attacks... Oh, am I incorrect?
Yeah, this is a different token.
Oh, this is a different token?
Yeah.
Oh, then never mind. If that's a different token, then I'm already much less up on this card. So this is just all this does is it makes it more dangerous for enemy characters to end their activation or interact with an objective token.
Right.
Yeah. It's called Astral Fiend is the thing. A projection token. So yeah, Brad is correct. It is not what I thought it was when I first read it.
Now, mind you, Fred, it's not. There are certain circumstances where it would be good, such as I would say spider foes with their sinister traps.
True. Yeah, you could make it even more dangerous to anyone, and it is during the power phase, so you could do it, and on the very first turn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not like I don't know how good it'll be. I guess it depends on how often he gets taken. Like 1 power is, pretty good, and there's no like range restriction on it, so he can just pick literally any secure. So I mean, you could do some like cute chip damage, like spend a power, put it on like meteors or something like that, where they take a damage if they interact and roll a skull. So, if they go interact, they roll skull, they take 2 damage, just trying to get the point. And if they fail the roll, that's even better. So, I mean, I think there's like some cute stuff you can do with it, but
specifically on that one, does let me reread it, but I think that it says they take a damage if they end within range 1 of the thing and if they interact with it.
Yeah. So it says they suffer 1 damage when they end an activation within one of the astral and when they interact with it. So like if they move up to like a meteor, so let's say it's something they go to the middle meteor, they double move, they go to interact, they roll a skull, they're gonna take 3 damage trying to interact with it.
That's a lot of damage. That's pretty
So
good.
I mean, if you read it as like, because it's really good because it's only enemy characters, right? So if you read it as, Shadow King pays 1 power, enemy character takes 3 damage, like that. When you read it like that, it kind of makes a little bit of sense. You know what I mean? But
Mm-hmm.
that's just something cheeky on like meteors. I don't know how often you play it on like other things, but
Right.
it's probably a good like 2 damage, whenever he does do it. So
Yeah, and you could do it on any pay to flip, and it would be 2 damage essentially.
yeah, because
Because
they
they
go
would-
to interact. Yeah, like it's really really good on the pay to flips. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's I think it's more cute than anything, but.
You think it's yeah. My first read, I thought that it was the same token that he could attack out of, which it isn't, and that made me think it was great. That like you could start off with that sticking out near the opponent's side, but I think it is still good. It's still pretty solid. What's your take, Brandon? Brandon, you deal a lot with a faction that plays a lot of secure-based scenario work. So, what do you feel would be the case if a Shadow King poisoned one of the objectives using this
I-
card?
So like it's not great against Criminal Syndicate. Unless you get a pay to flip. Like it's this thing shines in pay to flips. It's also really good on like demons. Because it's just free damage. If you can get free damage and then they're incinerated, like coming into the next turn, like it's a good situation to be in. I think those are more of like the ones you played on are like demons, gamma, and then the pay to flips. I think the pay to flips are the best place for them. I don't even think it's really that close. I think that's where you're gonna shine. Like Infinity Formula is one of those where it's kind of funny because like if you put it on like an Infinity Formula against Criminal Syndicate, then they're effectively taking 1 damage and having 3 power.
Yeah.
Which isn't really where you probably want to be because that puts all the spenders online. Mayor Fisk is one that it's actually probably pretty good on as well because of the extra damage once you like move it. So like you can place the Mayor Fisk, like you take a damage to try to secure it, and then you get to place it and do another damage to him and stun him. Free damage is really good. But I think if you play Shadow King, you're probably gonna play that card with him, because, like I said, as long as you're playing like the right scenario, even I feel like 2 damage is probably a good low ground that the card's gonna be on. And if they just give up a point because they don't want to take the damage, like then it's probably a victory point or 2 damage at like worst case scenario. And I think that's probably pretty good. The problem is you have to be playing Shadow King.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm not sure where he's really going to fit in. Even if he has a cool model, I'm not sure he has a lot of places to fit in right now.
Yeah.
Especially in Brotherhood, I'm not sure he is fitting in there anywhere, but it's kind of awkward. I think he's still kind of a little bit awkward of a character. But I do think this tactics card may push you a little bit over the top to actually play this model in specific situations.
Yeah, I think so. This changes the calculus whenever you're picking. This makes Shadow King just the slightest bit more playable, which helps him probably quite a bit.
I mean, he can play this like his attack has his range 3 attack has wild root, and he can advance the target away. So like if they move up, take a damage, and then you can hit them with a range 3 attack and move them off the point, it's like just icing on the cake, right? So I think that's
Yeah.
really kind of the play you're looking at, is just kind of moving him up on the back point and making an attack. And then if he can move the character off that already took a damage, plus, hopefully took, I mean, you have to take more damage on the attack, so it's like your 6-die attack can get an extra damage, plus the character's no longer on the point and took a free damage. It's probably pretty good.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's probably worth doing.
But I'm still really iffy on this character as a 5 threat.
Yeah. Steven, what's your take here? I wanted to throw it over to you.
Well,
So you-
I think it's actually good against certain teams, scenario teams such as Web Warriors who have low health pools to start with.
Mhm.
So, obviously, you got to look at the composition of team because, Hulks really don't care about this, right? So, but yeah, if you're running Shadow King and you see Web Warriors, you got the Mystic Attack anyway, which they really, really don't like, and then you add this to it, it just makes it a little bit more complex for them. So that's where I would use it on a scenario team that's going wide and has low health pools.
Okay. All right. And Brad, is there anything you want to kick in on this card?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, that's the Astral Plane card. It's I think it's pretty solid. I think it's pretty good. It's not as good as it was when I first
Well, it was busted,
it.
and it was busted in your mind. So
Yeah, it was busted in my mind. But yeah, that's it for that card. I think that's it for news and announcements from AMG. But I do want to talk about some upcoming tournaments. So coming up this Saturday, on Saturday the 10th of February, there is going to be a tournament at Sweets and Geeks in Medina, Ohio. So if you are nearby Medina, Ohio, head on out to Sweets and Geeks and play some games. Apparently, it is a gaming store that doubles as a candy shop, which sounds incredible. So if you're nearby, go there. Then on the 17th of February, there's going to be a tournament at Lost Legion Games and Comics in South Charleston. That's going to be Brad and myself and the crew. So if you're going to be nearby there, you should come out. And then again on the 24th, that is Saturday the 24th of February, there's going to be another tournament at Fabricators Forge in Pittsburgh. So head there if you're nearby. This is a very busy month for our local area. And then again on March 9th is the Missing Falls Brewery tournament, which I have already signed up for. It is in Akron, Ohio, and you need to sign up beforehand. I think was the amount $40 now? I think it's $40.
Yeah, they had a discount of $5 if you signed up before January 31st.
Right. But you get a drink ticket and a meal voucher for that price.
Well, it's access to the lunch buffet.
Access to the lunch buffet. Okay.
Correct.
And that is a tournament that requires that you have a fully painted roster. So keep that in mind when you are planning to go. I believe that's it for upcoming tournaments. Yes. Okay. I want to toss the mic over to Steven for just a little bit to talk about his experience at LVO, because we haven't talked about it yet. So, Steven, do you want to talk for just a bit about that?
Sure. Excellent. Thank you for the chance. I know it's been a long time since I've been on because I've been ill and not feeling too good. And unfortunately, as we get further and further away from LVO, the games kind of fade into the background. You don't remember exactly what happened all the time, and I didn't really take good notes. So, what I do want to do is say about all the wonderful people that I did meet at LVO and played against. I met a crew from Boise, Idaho, Aaron, Austin, and Mark. I told them about the show, and they put the show on their feed, so we have some new listeners with them. So I want to thank them and shout them out very much. I have another gentleman I met, Matt from Minnesota, Phil from Illinois, Eric and Miko from California, John from Seattle, and a whole other bunch of people who were very nice. And I didn't write their names down. I didn't remember the names. So everybody was nice and accommodating. So I just want to shout everything out. I wasn't feeling too good for the whole tournament, so I just ended up playing in the last chance qualifier, and then obviously in the timelines event on Saturday. Just kind of hung out Sunday, said my goodbyes to people and stuff like that. So, but overall, in meeting everybody, it was a good time. For myself, Las Vegas, I wasn't too impressed.
Oh, okay.
I don't drink, I don't gamble, I don't do all that stuff. So there was really nothing for me there, you know what I mean, except for the tournament. So, but luckily my brother came out with his son and daughter. So while I was playing games, they went to like the Hoover Dam and they saw the western side of the Grand Canyon. And then we would meet back up, and then I would be going out with my family to dinner. So that was an excellent experience with that also. So I wasn't entirely alone out there, which was a good thing. But surprisingly enough, in the last chance qualifier, I went 3-2. My 2 losses were to the new Red Skull, surprisingly enough. So I don't know what that was all about, but both my losses were to the same type of faction. And surprisingly enough, both of them had Mysterio in their list. So coincidence? Who knows? But
who knows? Is Mysterio having a renaissance?
Yeah, but and then in the games that I was playing for the timeline events, it was the organization on it wasn't quite what the normal event was supposed to be. So it was a little bit rushed. It was a little bit chaotic, and I understand that, but overall still had a good time. So ended up just taking it all in, and now I'll have to make that decision of whether I really want to go next year or not. I guess that all depends if I have people to go with or not, because going like I did this time, it just felt a little bit lackluster for me. So
that's
see.
fair. Like Las Vegas is, I've never been myself, so I can't really speak from experience, but it seems like the kind of town that you go to have fun in a either drinking or gambling kind of sense, and if you don't do either of those things, that's a lot of the draw taken away.
Yeah. It's a city where people go to let loose a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and of course I was there to play games, but it's that was my experience, and like I said, it wasn't a bad experience. It just was experience that it was kind of middling. That's all.
That's fair. That's fair. All right. Well, let's talk about games that we've played recently. So I'll go first. I played 2 games this past Thursday. My first one was against Borka, and he basically stomped me. It was not close. I went in trying to out scenario him, and he was playing Guardians of the Galaxy, which are just a terror on the battlefield right now. And I don't have a good answer into Guardians of the Galaxy built for attrition, so I got stomped. I got essentially just destroyed. My second game was against Jared, who was
Yeah.
playing web. Yeah, he was playing the web. No, not Web Warriors. What am I saying? He was playing Sam Spam. That's what he was playing. And that is maybe a list that skews extremely hard to scenario play. And so I basically playing the spider foes. I need to come up with a solution to survive the attrition when I'm trying to win on scenario, and survive the scenario when I'm trying to win on attrition. And I played the two worst things that I could possibly play, I think. Which
I think that-
is what?
I think you played like a really tight game. Like we played what was it, Mad Men Senators,
Yeah, Madmen and Senators.
and we kind of talked it over. I think after you had left, I think just like Hulk. I think
Hulk
maybe
was the mistake.
I
Yeah.
think that was probably just a mistake. Yeah, I think that was just like a turn zero kind of thing.
Yeah, I should have not brought Hulk against you. That was my mistake. I mean that and several other things, but also Senators against Sam Spam is not a great scenario to be in. That's not where I want to be, but that's what you get sometimes. All right,
Really good
those
scenario for them.
yeah. All right, that's those are games that I've played recently. Who wants to talk next? How about well, Jared, you just made a noise.
I did make a noise. I can go and
So-
go.
Yeah.
So like I played a game against Fred. I'm still having a crisis. I keep saying like I'm gonna stick to a faction. It's like constantly been a struggle with me. So anybody that like wants to reach out and help vent about how you have faction identity crisis and stuff, please feel free to reach out because I struggle with it in like every game that I play ever. But I have been playing some Samuel Spamuel here recently. It's been pretty fun. I used to play Sam quite a bit. I was playing Guardians. I had a great game against Brad in the finals at Pittsburgh. So that's a good game. For some reason, Guardians, for whatever reason, I can't seem to like secure the W in a tournament with them. But I've been playing Sam. I played against Aaron one day last week, and he's playing Shield. And I think I actually had the exact same crises that me and you played on Fred. I think it was Mad Men and Senators.
Mm-hmm.
And he played Shield. He's getting pretty good at him, but it was just kind of a similar thing where I think I went like 6 wide, and I was just able to kind of luckily out attrition him and score. I think I got like 22-14. I think was the final score. Just I haven't played Sam in so long. I just forget how crazy Helios and Ricochet Blast can be. Like those are such good cards.
Yeah.
And then I also played a game against Brandon, but I'll let him talk about that one. So
You can talk about it. I played like 12 games this week.
okay, I got you. But yeah, my other game was against Brandon, and he was also playing Shield. Him and Aaron are having a little bit of a Shield renaissance. So, and we played. Was it Mad Men? I think it was Mad Men, because I think all 3 games happened to have been Mad Men, and I don't remember what the extract was.
The extract was spider infected.
Spider infected. That's right. Oh yeah, that's right. This was one of those games where I think Brandon was up 1 point in round 1, and then after that, it kind of just I got a bunch of pretty lucky rolls. I think his Nick Fury constantly rolled a hit or a crit or something for his spider infected, so I just kept pushing him back toward the deployment zone. And then I had a pretty spectacular turn where he double moved Widow to walk up and take my spider infected on my side. And my Luke Cage just happened to casually walk up and roll 7 successes on 5 dice.
Oh my goodness.
And Fred, you played The Last of Us too, right?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
Yeah, you know that part where Abby and Lev are like going through that old town toward the end, and then they start to get like abducted by rattlers, and that one boy comes and just punches Lev right in the head.
Uh-huh.
That's exactly what that was like.
That's what that.
Yeah, that was so good. But yeah, he just went up and decked her, and I think things kind of spiraled actually a little bit from there in terms of the game. But Sam on Mutant Madmen is feeling pretty good. I just need to branch out a little bit more and practice some different scenarios. But the list is feeling pretty good so far. So been some
Yeah.
good games.
Here's another thing about it is that it can hit hard. Like we mathed it out. Jared won on scenario against me um on round 3, but it was a case where it was going to be over. I had no more activations. And he had something like 3 more activations. So it was not looking the game was over. But just to see what happens, we played those out and he KO'd Hulk in those 3 activations. So, I mean, that list, even though it's so wide, it can hit hard when it needs to.
It's just chucking tons of dice and eventually you spike. I mean, that's just
I mean, that's how you win.
that's how that works.
That's how you get spikes.
I can talk about one of Brad's games a little bit, I think, because I know he's not feeling too good. If that's cool with you, Brad.
Go for it.
So Brad played Aaron Thursday too, and Brad actually used he was playing Xavier's new leadership, and he had Bishop, Shadowcat, Iceman, and Nightcrawler, and he was playing against Aaron playing Shield, and I believe Aaron had new Winter Soldier, 2-Threat Widow, Nick Fury, Agent Venom, and Spider Woman, and they were playing on Gamma, and I can't remember exactly what the extract was.
Senators.
Senators, yeah. So they had a pretty tight game back and forth. There was some pretty crazy dice swinginess kind of going on, but I do know, even though I can't like give a breakdown play by play, I know that Brad. He seems like he's going to be pretty all around like a pretty good piece.
Jared, you are breaking up and I can't hear you, which means you're not being recorded.
Yeah, you're.
I was gonna ask if he was cutting out for everyone or if it was just for me.
Yeah.
No, I can't hear him either.
Yeah, Jared, we lost you. We
Oh.
lost you, bud. Yeah, I think we've lost Jared for a short while. Sorry about that. Brandon, why don't you discuss games that you played recently while we're waiting on Jared to come back?
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Monday, I played 3 games against Aaron. I played Defenders 1 game. I played Sam 1 game. What did I play in the 3rd game? That's a good question. I think it was Defenders again, but like a more wide version of Defenders.
Okay.
And then I played Borka on Monday as well. I played Criminal Syndicate into Avengers, and
That's his favorite.
there was some bad things that happened in that game for him, like Black Cat, Black Cat. I went to on Black Cat's first activation in like round 3, I think maybe we were playing Mutant Madmen and some extract that was like a bunch. I don't remember, but I was like, yeah, I just need a cat claws. I hope I get a damage. I just needed 1 more power to do the thing I wanted to do. Well, she rolled a hit and 3 crits, and then 3 crits into like 2 wilds and a hit.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it doesn't get much better from there. So like it did like 5 damage to like Captain America, and then I was able to use Crimson Dynamo to like walk up and then beam 3 of his characters. I dazed all 3 of them. through the like 2 attacks on each of them, and it was just we just stopped playing at that point. It was I had been playing Crimson Dynamo wrong. I think it would have affected some of the games I played against Josh or Borka. I don't think it would have affected all of them, but it definitely had impact because I was able to conserve energy. But anyone who's played Dynamo also, you have a surplus of energy. It feels like on them at most all times. But it definitely could have caused some sways in our games in the past. So knowing that going forward is always good.
I love
Thursday,
your personal story arc of just you as you've slowly over the years developed into like the anti-Borka. It's been like the greatest thing to watch.
go ahead.
What was the thing that you were doing incorrectly?
So Crimson Dynamo has a reactive superpower that when this character or an ally character is targeted by an attack, and the enemy is within 3 of this character, it may use superpower. It can reroll up to 2 of the attacker's dice. I was paying for it after the attack and not before the attack.
Oh, so sometimes you would pay for it and he'd roll. The way it should work is sometimes you would pay for it before you see the dice roll, and
Correct.
maybe he gets no hits at all, so it's
Yeah.
wasted
He was
power.
paying for it with like full knowledge versus like having to
Okay.
kind of like just hope. So
Yeah, I mean,
But-
most of the time you're paying for it regardless, so it's not like. And like I said, Dynamo makes an absolute ton of power. Like I don't think I've ever sat on Dynamo with just 2 power or like none. It just feels like he always has a super surplus. But there are games and situations that we played that it would have definitely been like super relevant.
Yeah.
So, which is fine, which is good going forward to know. My games against Aaron, I guess I skipped over though. They were really close, like in really good games. He won, I think, 2 of them. He beat Sam, and I think I might have played Defenders twice. I think he beat Defenders once, and then lost to him once, and then beat him. So I was like, we were testing out just different things. I was trying to really set up his shield list. I've been a instrumental proponent in getting him to go like full shield and playing a little bit more of a scenario like with attrition aspects more than just attrition, which he was kind of playing there for a while. And I think his list is really coming into form now, and I think it's in a really good spot. Thursday I played Jared, which he talked about. Then I played Borka again. I was playing Shield. He played Guardians of the Galaxy. I did lose both of those games. They were both relatively close. The game against Guardians was kind of. It wasn't terrible. It was just got kind of wonky. Some dice rolls went like drastically out of favor. And then I played a very specific way, and I just kind of couldn't. Then Agent Venom had an activation, where he like KO'd 2 characters and dazed like 3 characters. Like it just ended the game, essentially.
Did you say it was Agent Venom?
Yeah, Agent Venom. Yep.
Was it his foreign assignment?
He was able to do that. That dazed like Iron Man, 4-point Iron Man. His beam attack dazed like he killed Spider Woman, dazed Black Widow, and dazed Nick Fury, all like at full health. Like
that beams the truth.
Like it was just disgustingly. It was just bad. Like it was I deserved all of it from misplaying Crimson Dynamo against him. I took it on the chin like a champ. I played 2 games against CJ on Friday.
Oh, good.
He was playing Web Warriors and I played Shield. They were both really close games. And I won both of them, but they were both very close games. Shield felt really good into, like, I think I kind of figured out what I wanted to do and like how I wanted to play the list and kind of. So Thursday, my list was very, very heavy on like the extract game plan and trying to like really just kind of steal and get rid of extracts. And I kind of went away from that for my next games, and I think they helped a lot. I was able to play kind of Nick Fury and Nick Fury Senior in like all of these games. I played Iron Man and Agent Venom, I think, in one of them. And then 4-point or 2-point Black Widow, whichever one. And then played some Black Cat for stagger purposes. Staggering is just still so good; it doesn't change. A lot less Spider Woman than before, which I think was really kind of beneficial. I think I played Spider Woman in maybe one of the games. Um, and then, but just being able to kind of. The big thing that I've kind of started doing is with this list is kind of hoping you get like a B scenario, which I've got all the Bs you can have, or and like the Fs too. You can kind of force the game like first turn up the sides. You usually have more characters, or if you have priority, kind of gaining control and then moving everything to one side. And kind of setting up for that and just kind of keeping everything together because both Black Widow and the Shield Grunts allow you to place your tokens. Playing mission objective allows you to hand it off. So being able to kind of control the extracts at pretty much all times worked out really well in both my games against CJ. And then yesterday I played with Noah. He played Guardians of the Galaxy, and I played Shield. And he got a little blood in his eye early on, and it ended up costing him, unfortunately, because so he had 5 power on Cosmic Ghost Rider at the beginning of the game because he rolled 4 successes in the beginning. So Cosmic Ghost Rider on his first activation teleported 4 and then was able to daze both Nick Fury and Nick Fury Senior, which was gross. But then I was able to Eye in the Sky Nick Fury away a couple times, and he just kind of kept chasing Nick Fury. And that allowed me to use Iron Man. I subbed in 3-point Iron Man into my list, so I was able to play 3-point Iron Man, the Grunts, plus Nick Fury. Were able to just kind of put a ton of dice in the Cosmic Ghost Rider, and he had Drax up the middle, so I was able to kind of I was able to just kind of focus fire while he was running around chasing Nick Fury. He ended up killing Nick Fury, just for the record. But on the left side of the board, it was Rocket and Groot versus Black Widow and Black Cat. And I was able to kind of sit back and kind of pick apart Groot because of the stealth and the range 4 energy attacks. And then Iron Man, after killing Drax, was able to kind of come around the backside and do the same thing. And just kind of picked apart Groot, and once Groot was gone, Rocket just falters.
Yeah.
So he made a bad play. Like I said, he chased around. He started off like there's no world I should have ever won that game. But he chased Nick Fury and he left Star-Lord alone on 1 point in the far corner, and it was Infinity Formula. And he just sat there and gained power and scored. He scored him points, but he didn't do anything at any point in the game. I don't know if he made a single attack in the entire game.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so it ended up getting a little out of control, but Black Widow's Spender, it's really good. It's really good.
And one thing I'll say, like, if people aren't playing 4th Rat Black Widow or you're not trying her out, you shouldn't sleep on her. She's pretty good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was able to gain priority 1 turn because when I dazed Drax, I was able to get priority, or I wasn't able to get priority, but I was able to use the last activation, and I was able to kind of pop up and Deadly Origins Spender into Groot. So it was a 7 dice physical attack and then a 5 dice energy attack with reroll any number, including skull results. So I was able to just kind of take him out, and then I was also able to use the advanced medium to get out of the get away from to get behind terrain, and just kind of force awkward stuff to happen. So when he did chase, it was able to kind of it was just played a little differently than I originally planned the list, but it worked out really well. So I ended up winning that game. Probably shouldn't have. It was Research Station Infinity Formula. I don't feel like I should have won that game in any world. But we talked about it later. He kind of got that early, when you start the game, you just want to kill everything, and he got that taste of blood on that first turn by dazing 2 characters. He was like, I can kill everything. And it allowed me to kind of nickel and dime everything apart, because he was so focused on other things.
Okay. I do want to throw it over to Steven for games that he's played recently.
Well, recently I've only played one game, so it'll be pretty quick.
Okay.
I decided to go for a palette cleanser. So no Midnight Suns, no Defenders. I'm actually playing Avengers right at the moment. So
Hey, my God.
Okay. Is it new cap?
yeah, but my list is quite different actually. I'm running New Cap, I'm running Sam, and I'm running Hulkbuster in the list.
It's actually very similar.
It's not different at all, actually.
Yeah,
As weird
it's
as
very
you may
similar
think
to
that.
what Borka plays.
Oh, really?
So in the last 2 weeks, we have all played Avengers except for Fred.
Oh.
Wow.
And
So
Brad.
Brad hasn't played Avengers.
He played First Avenger.
Not the last 2 weeks.
Was it 3 weeks ago now?
Yeah.
Nah, all right. In the last 3 weeks, we've all played Avengers except for Fred.
Well, my complementary Avengers in this, for my 5s, I'm running Scarlet Witch and Thor.
Ooh, okay.
For my other 4s, I'm running Dr. Voodoo and original core box Captain Marvel. And then to round out, I have 3 3s, which I'm running Luke Cage and Iron Fist with along with Hawkeye. So
Yeah.
Okay.
but I played a game against Mike. He's the gentleman who's running the tournament at Sweets and Geeks. And he rolled up with Web Warriors under Miles Morales. We were playing Skrulls and Intrusions. We were playing at 20 points. He was running Miles, Daredevil, Spider-Woman, Black Cat, Spectacular Spider-Man, and Spider-Gwen. And I was like, well, there's not that many points on the table, so I decided to go with a really narrow list, tall list. So I went Hulkbuster, Scarlet Witch, Thor, and Dr. Voodoo. So,
Okay.
and needless to say, he was winning this game through the first four turns, but Scarlet Witch and Dr. Voodoo against the spider people is not good, especially when she starts turning on the her big attack, which is I forget what it is, reality contortion. Anyway,
Something like that.
yeah, it's where you don't count your criticals and you don't explode your criticals. So,
Yeah. Did you say that you were playing Hulkbuster as in Hulkbuster's leadership, or did you?
Yes, I am. Yes,
Okay.
I was.
Okay.
I mean, he's big. He's hard for spiders to deal with.
Uh-huh.
He throws things.
He can push him away.
He can push them away. Thor's good into spiders, I found out, because he's big and tough. He throws things away also. He shocks them, which they don't like. I've already went over Scarlet Witch. And then Dr. Voodoo, he's the anti-Black Cat play, right?
Yeah.
Plus, he also has the mystic attacks. So I end up winning 15-13 on this. It went to round 6, and I wiped every model off the board.
Oh boy.
Mm-hmm. So, but it's spiders just can't run away when you have intrusions. That's an issue for them.
Yeah, because you can always just pop out across the board.
Mm-hmm. That's correct. So, like I said, I'm gonna stick with this list for a little bit, see what's happening with it. Like I said, I'm kind of excited for it. I know I'm not running a 2, but I don't think a 2 is necessary all the time. So,
All right. Well, those are the games that we played recently. Um,
I did
I
want to
do
say
want to throw
one
it.
thing real quick.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
So in the games I played against CJ, he was kind of doing some testing and was playing a little bit of a different Web Warrior style list. Like he was playing Daredevil, and then was wanting to try out Squirrel Girl and Gwenpool,
Okay.
which Gwenpool was amazing. Spider Girl is like unkillable under Miles.
Yeah, yeah. She gets like so many
So
rerolls.
yeah, you just reroll everything. It was very, very unfortunate. Like it just got to a point after the first game. I don't even think I looked at her the second game. I was just like, cool, you can do whatever you want. I'm just gonna go away. So I did want to clarify. It was a little bit more of a bigger Web Warriors list, but it was a fun. They were fun games, and Daredevil's great, and Web Warriors and Squirrel Girl also felt really good. So
Well, I'm gonna need you to wake up when you're talking there, buddy.
I know.
Putting everyone to sleep.
I had a big yawn.
Jeez.
Yeah. I mean, that pair seems, especially Squirrel Girl, seems like she would be a menace in Web Warriors. Just a menace.
Oh yeah. Well, and then Gwenpool gets 4 physical defense and the reroll and damage reduction. So
Yeah.
they were definitely both pains to deal with.
Yeah.
Very, very much
I
a
can
pain
imagine.
to deal with.
I can imagine. All right. I'm gonna throw it to Steven for a little bit. I do want to hear Steven's take on some of the characters that he missed. Bishop and Carnage, specifically Carnage, because Steven has played Carnage probably more than any of us. So,
Yeah.
Steven, what's your take on Carnage and then Bishop?
Carnage. Carnage is a C- D+ writer. I mean,
Yeah.
I think this game has kind of left him a little bit behind, to tell you the truth.
That's essentially where we were.
When he does work, though, oh my God, does he do work? So, but then you'll have those points in time where he doesn't do work, and then he just dies.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I will say is that I faced off in timelines against a Cable with Carnage, and I got Cable.
With Carnage?
Yeah, before he died.
Okay. That's pretty good. That's abnormal, probably.
Carnage can kill anything.
Yeah. Carnage can kill anything.
I would agree with this, yes.
But he can also die pretty quickly.
Yeah, he's still at the 7 health is still relevant, but like I said, I played a couple games with him. We talked about it last time. Like he is hard to kill, even with that. Like you still have to put multiple attacks in him, and if you whiff one time, he's back with a vengeance.
Yeah, especially if you leave him on, if you do 6 damage to him and you leave him on that one. Oh boy.
Yep.
Things happen. But Fred, I'd like to caveat: have we gone over the mistake that you made for your non sequitur on Carnage?
Yeah. I didn't do natural born killers.
Yes. I just want to make the listeners aware of that. So
I am aware of my mistake.
And Bishop is a solid B for me. I don't think he's lighting the world on fire. I think he's exactly where he needs to be in his affiliations. And I don't think he's going to get splashed outside of them, to tell you the truth.
Okay.
But speaking of Bishop, I have something else for you guys.
Yeah, you do.
Do you remember a long, long time ago, we were asking the three of you, what your thoughts on Professor X, Iceman, and Bishop would be for their threat values.
Yeah, it was. And how wrong were we?
Okay. Well, I'm going to start with Bishop, since we just talked about him. Brandon, you had Bishop at threat 5. Fred, you had him at threat 4. And Brad had him at threat 3.
Hmm.
For our illustrious Iceman, Fred had him at 5. And Brad and
Double
Brandon
wrong.
both had him at 4.
Look at that.
And then last but not least, our illustrious leader, Professor X. Brandon had Professor X at a 6, Fred at a 5, and Brad at a 3.
So we just like missed it entirely.
So Fred, technically you won this contest.
Because I had 1 correct out of 3.
Because you have 1 correct.
Yay.
Now, I would have guessed Professor X at a 5 because he comes with Shadow King.
Shadow King. Yeah.
I think
But-
it's just like it's really super hard to quantify on some of these, especially with like mutants, because their power levels are different depending on which like run that you read, like how strong they
Right.
are. So they could kind of go anywhere.
No, that's and that's the whole thing. You know, everybody's like, "Oh, they should be this," and it's like, well, no, we're taking it from this time period. You know, and then some people are like, "Oh, I understand." Other people are like, "Well, that's still wrong." You know,
Yeah.
critics everywhere, right? So
I just
I
want
mean, I
to.
think that
I just want to point out that Iceman and Storm are both Omega level mutants, and they cost 3 threat. They could be anything.
yeah. I was about to point out that Brad says that Storm is one of the most powerful mutants in the world in the comics, and she's a 3 threat. So
Yep.
threats aren't like super clear as to how powerful they actually are.
But anyway, we are now anticipating with bated breath our spider foes to see how well you gentlemen do with that one.
I cannot wait. I can't wait. I want to know.
Well, you gotta wait, Fred.
I know. I know.
4s
don't
and 3s, bud. 4s and 3s.
I don't want any more 4s and 3s. I want anything but 4s and 3s.
Jared, you want to get in on this action?
Oh hell yeah! I'm always down
Yeah.
to clam.
All right. Well, I've got their results written down. So, for Sandman, Mr. Jared, what do you think his threat level will be?
4.
Jared
He
says a
comes
4.
with 2 grunts and he's a 4.
Yep. Yeah, I'm giving him a 4.
Electro.
Ooh. 4.
I'm going to go to Shocker first before I go to Vulture because there's another question with him. So, Shocker.
He could be the affiliated too.
Okay, so we're
Apparently
gonna go
they're not gonna scare. Yeah, I'm gonna say 2. That's gonna be my hopeful threat answer. I feel like he's probably a 3, but I'll say 2.
and Vulture.
3.
Now, the other question is, will he be a leader for Spider Foes? Yes or no? Now, I will give the caveat that for every affiliation box that's come out,
Mhm.
there is a leader in every box.
Okay, so I'm gonna say, this might be completely wrong. I'm gonna say that he's not going to have a leadership on his card, but they will
Mhm.
come with a leadership card. Does that make
So,
sense?
yeah,
So like
Hellfire
his
Fire.
correct, yeah, or like Corvus's card.
Okay.
My hot take.
I mean, I think that's what I don't think I said that, but one of either
I think
Brandon
I
or
said that.
yeah, I think Brandon said that too.
Me and you.
I don't. I like all your takes except for Sandman with 2 grunts being a 4 threat.
I think so,
Alright.
man. Like I don't know. Maybe a 5, but that's I don't know. We'll see. I hope I hope he's a 4. That'd be sweet for Spider Foes, and they need some love, you know.
Yeah, they do.
Especially
They
2
do.
grunts you can have on at the same time. Ugh, that'd be gross.
Oh yeah, yeah. Give it to him.
Well, okay, I got everything recorded down, so hopefully, in the not too far future, we'll see who's right and who is not.
All right. Okay. Let's move on to the character that we're here to discuss today. We are here to discuss Iceman, otherwise known as Bobby Drake. His defenses are 4, 3, and 3. He has 5 health on both sides of his card. He is a threat value of 3, size 2, and his movement speed is medium. And Jared, why don't you cover his attack suite?
Absolutely. So he has an energy attack, Freezing Blast. It is a beam 3, 4 dice. After each attack is resolved, this character gains 1 power, and it has the Wild Slow. After each attack is resolved, the target character gains the Slow special condition. His second attack, his Spender, is also an energy attack, Chill. Range 3, 7 dice, power cost 3, with a Wild Stagger. So after this attack is resolved, the target character gains the Stagger special condition.
All right. And Steven, why don't you do the Freeze and Fade and Ice Slide superpowers?
All right. So we have an active superpower called Freeze and Fade. It will cost you 2 power, and it will cost you an action. This character immediately makes an attack action followed by a move action. This character counts as size 5 during the move action. This superpower can be used only once per turn. Then he has a reactive superpower, which costs 2. During this character's activation, when it begins a move within 2 of another allied character of size 2 or less, it may use the superpower. After this move action is resolved, place the allied character within 2 of its current position. This superpower can be used only once per turn.
Okay, and Brandon, why don't you finish off with Cold Snap?
Cold Snap is a innate superpower. When an enemy character ends a move action or attack action within 2 of this character, it gains the slow special condition. If it already has the slow special condition, it suffers a damage instead.
Wow. Okay. All right. So that's Iceman. Before we begin, I have a very pressing question. What is the point of him being size 5 during a move action?
So he can move over any size terrain.
I see. Okay.
Without
Okay.
putting the wall crawler on him.
Yeah.
Basically.
Okay.
Which the
makes
the
sense.
rules for wall crawler is you count a size 5 for movement.
Okay. That answers that question.
But
I would like to say that, Fred, I read it like 3 times trying to figure out why it was like, because when you're reading the card, I was like, this is relevant somewhere, and it wasn't.
Yeah, I was thinking like maybe the Ice Slide he could take a character that's smaller than him, but no, it's just size 2 or less. So
it's also relevant for Fade and Freeze that Craven cannot affect them.
Oh yeah, okay.
Because
he
Craven
doesn't
can-
have wall crawler, so
Yeah,
it's
Yeah.
okay. All right. I'm gonna throw it over to Jared. Jared, what's your initial take here?
I
What do
mean,
you-
I think that he's really good. Kind of watching Brad play him a little bit. I think because he slots in at 3, he is a really good fit for X-Men, so he's going to be really good in the affiliation that he comes in. The Wild Slow is really good, especially on that beam, and because he just gets power after each attack. I mean, I've been playing a lot of like War Machine and stuff lately, or if you play like Vision or Crimson Dynamo. I mean, we were talking about that earlier. Having a beam that auto gives you 1 power is just really, really good for him to just completely activate everything that he can do, and the fact that he can like Ice Slide into a really, really good position. or he can isolate other people in like really good positions. He's just like a good piece all around, especially like in Sam. Sam has airlift, so a lot of people take Sam just so they can airlift like really good pieces. Um, Iceman's going to do the same thing, so I think he's really really good. I think he's absolutely going to be gross in Web Warriors. Like we kind of talked about that a little bit Thursday, so I think that he's good for his affiliations. I think he's really good to be a splash too, especially with all the slow under like ASM leadership and stuff. So I'm pretty high on him.
All right. Yeah. I mean, for a faction that is so mobile, this guy adding even more mobility would be disgusting.
Yeah, he's on a medium base too, so like medium base, medium move is just great. And
Oh yeah.
that cold snap too is disgusting. Like that is such a good passive to have.
Yeah,
So,
I did want to bring that up, especially in like against in Web Warriors with the ability to toss out all webbed up. This would just add an extra point of damage whenever they ended a movement close to him.
yeah, it's so good.
The attack doesn't have to be on Iceman either.
Right?
Yeah, yep. I watched. I think it was Fury hitting Xavier in the middle point and just taking chip damage the whole time trying to put Xavier down. So it's just an incredible ability. It's so good.
Yeah. Steven, what's your take here on Iceman?
I think people who are very high on this character because of the comics or the cartoons are going to play him, but I think we're to that point in the game where there's enough characters in a 3-point slot that he might not find a home in rosters unless it's his home affiliation. So I'm just looking at it from the prospect of the whole game.
I mean, that's absolutely fair. The 3 is is stacked. There are so many good 3s out there. And if he's not affiliated and he's not doing anything specifically for your faction, then
I mean, Web Warriors, right?
yeah.
For taking Jared's example, you start with Miles, Black Cat, and Gwen Stacy, right? So, then you have to find room for him after that. So, I don't know. I just don't know. Because if you're running 17, you're probably running Daredevil, Spider Woman, or Agent Venom, Spider Woman, what have you, right? So, I'm not saying you wouldn't make rosters. Maybe you won't make the table. It's just one of those things where, I think we're to that point where saturation's having a little effect on splashes.
Okay. Brandon, what's your take here? Just looking at Iceman.
Iceman is one of the mutants that I've been waiting for. Just because I did enjoy him in the comics and in the 90s show. However, I would probably, I kind of disagree with a little bit of what Steven's saying. I think Iceman is the second model you're taking when you're playing Web Warriors from this point forward. Having a Beam 3 and like on all webbed up terms with the Beam 3 and slow's already out there, you are just basically, you have the ability to just kind of do an insane amount of damage. Plus with Cold Snap, you're just getting free damage. I think he's going to be an absolute auto include in that affiliation. I think he's going to make a lot of Uncanny X-Men rosters as well. Unless you're trying to play really tall for some reason, which has never been super successful for X-Men at this point. But he's not like he's not like a Black Cat level auto include. I think he's going to have some places where he just is an absolute superstar. But he is situational. I mean, he does have energy attacks, which are really good. Having a wild stagger on a 7-die, 3-power spender is really, really good as well. Which is something of everything he has, we just kind of let it out to be that he just has a random one wild stagger trigger, which is
Yeah, on
really-
7 dice. Yeah.
which is over 50% chance, which is where you want to be on your triggers. You want to feel like you're in that majority. I think he's going to see a good amount of play. But again, I think all the lists that are playing scenario are going to really enjoy playing this character. And he's really good into scenario mirrors because you can giving characters like Black Cat, Spider Woman, Black Widow slow is just could be backbreaking. And having like a freeze and fade to where you can make an attack, now you can move backwards. Again, medium base, medium move, you can move really far. And then, you can still, ice slide, or have ice slide so you can save someone, which is something Web Warriors really likes. And then causing characters with range 2 attacks to have to move short just to get back in position if they want to continue attacking you. I think he's going to be, for scenario-based teams, I think he's going to be someone you're going to look at no matter what you're playing. And he has a 4 defense, which is the perk. When you have a 5/5 body, having a 4 defense definitely helps. But I think he'll be able to keep himself a little bit out of the action and punish people for kind of trying to come after him. So, and we don't know any of the cards in this box. So, if he has a card like Pyro, with Pyrotechnics, which is, it would make absolute amounts of sense for this character to have something similar that if, instead of everyone that's incinerated, if everyone's slowed, being able to do something. Because this character reminds me a lot of like the design space they had for Pyro. And Pyro's been pretty great. So I kind of put him in that level of character tier, especially if he gets a tactics card. Even half as good as Pyrotechnics is going to be really good. And they've been printing a lot of really good tactics cards lately, so I'm not putting them past it to get a card that's really, really good with this character.
Yeah,
Okay.
that to your point, like, oh, sorry, Fred.
No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
To your point, like, I think that I probably personally like a little bit better what he does than Pyro, but when you look at him, like, to your point, like, they're very like comparable in design space and stuff. And just Pyrotechnics alone has made, like, when you look at like competitive rosters across like LVO and like some of the other like big tournaments, Pyro is a pretty like big splash character, and a good chunk of that is also because of Pyrotechnics. So like one good card can make him like auto include for splashes depending on what your game plan is and stuff. So
yeah, he's good enough without the tactics card to see home in enough places. Like I said, if you're trying to play scenario, I think he's someone you're definitely going to look at. And then if he can get a card sit incomparable to Pyrotechnics, he's going to be someone that you're going to consider even if you're not playing that style. It's also, like, again, he techs against scenario play, so he can be, a lot of attrition lists are probably going to tech him against your Web Warriors and stuff, because even if you can just throw them in there and slow Miles and Gwen, Black Cat, once they're slowed, they're not nearly as dangerous because they can't get away as much. It's essentially stagger.
Okay. I do want to say, let's talk about his power economy, because I do think that he's going to be a little power starved, even with his beam that generates power. It's beam 3, so
Let me play you with Crossbones, and I'll let you know that beam 3 getting a power on each of those will make all the power you ever need.
okay.
Yeah. Being able to beam 3, think about it this way: if you can get after turn 1, you're probably going to be able to get 2 people per beam, and that's 4 power. Plus, so you can get 4 to 5. You're going to be looking at 3 to 5 power a turn.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about it as much, just because of that. Like, I've been playing a lot of beam characters recently, and a lot of scenarios are favorable to the beam characters, and especially just crossbones. Having a short movement on a small base, I've never had an issue not having like power to hit and run. Um, Pay for he has natural damage reduction. The other one has pay, but just having power, just kind of in abundance for when things happen. That I don't see power being all that relevant. Mostly because I'm not sure how much you ice slide, and the only thing he's spending power on is freeze and fade and chill. Um, so I don't think your power economy is as rough, especially like I said, that beam 3. Even if you can only hit one person, you're looking at 3 power a turn, um, which is going to give you enough to do whatever you want.
Okay, that's fair. All right, Brad, is there anything you want to add in before we move on to our letter grades?
He's good. Big fan.
There we go. Okay. All right, let's give this guy a letter grade. So, he seems real solid. He seems real solid for a 3. If I played Uncanny X-Men, I think that I would buy him immediately. Or if I played Web
you have
Warriors.
the Uncanny X-Men.
I actually do. I did buy them. If I played Web Warriors, I would probably buy him immediately. As a spider foe, I don't know. I don't know if he's got a spot in my roster. I was coming in today ready to give him a B plus. I think that listening to you guys talk about him has made me pump him up to an A minus. I think I'm giving him an A minus. All right. I'm tossing it over to Jared. Jared, what are you going to give Iceman?
Without knowing his tactics cards or if he has any at all, I think that he is just like a quality free like 3 threat. With a beam plus his like freeze and fade, he's just got really good action economy. I think I'm going to give him an A minus because he definitely has a home in like X-Men and Web Warriors, 100%. How much he gets splashed in some of the other affiliations, I mean, maybe it's not like a huge splash, but I think that he's going to do really well. So I'm going to give him an A minus. I think he's just a quality 3. But he might move to an A depending on what the tactics card is, or better. So.
That's fair. That's fair. All right, Steven, what are you going to give Iceman?
I'm not as optimistic on Iceman. I don't know why. But then again, Jared's seen him played. Brad has played him, so maybe it's just getting some reps in and finding out what he does.
I've also seen him play. There's a minor advantage that we have because we have seen him on the table.
Correct. So
Thanks, Brad.
I'm gonna put him at a B for the moment. So depending on tactics cards and seeing him played and all that good stuff. So
Okay, a B. And Brandon, what are you going to give him?
You just gonna skip Brad? You're not gonna let Brad give him a grade?
I will get to Brad. I'm asking
Maybe,
you what.
maybe I
what...
want to know Brad's before I grade him.
Okay, Brad, what are you going to give him?
I want to know Brandon's first.
I don't want to be. I need Brad's. Anyway, I do want to. There was a funny thing when this character was released. I was at the shop playing games with Aaron on Monday when this character was released, and it was really funny because this guy, one of the guys that we all know, I don't know if Steve. I think Steven's met him, but he probably doesn't remember him all that well. His name's Greg. He's been buying a bunch of MCPs. He's actually been painting a bunch of my stuff for me. Shout out to Greg being a real one. But he likes mutants, and I was telling him about Iceman. He started picking up to buy some of the boxes. So I'm like, as soon as it comes out, I'm messaging Brad, and I'm like, do you have an extra Storm and Cyclops and Beast and Mystique? And he just responds immediately. He's like, are you this high on Iceman? Like, how high are you on him right now? Because he thought it I was because I didn't tell him they were for Greg, and he was just like, oh, you're just buying all the mutants now. So that was a funny little thing that had happened. My letter grade, I won't force Brad. With how much I do believe that he's just going to be a borderline snap pick for 2 affiliations. One he's affiliated in, one he's not affiliated in. And I do think he'll see a good amount of splash play in places like Hellfire Club. I actually like the idea of him in Shield. Sam Spam, I think, is also a really good place for him. And some of these other affiliations that are trying to
Hydra.
play just. He actually probably wouldn't be bad at all in Hydra. He'd actually probably be pretty good, especially with the Strucker's leadership.
Yep.
That does all the
Oh
conditions and
yeah,
stuff. Yeah.
yeah, you're
so,
right.
Yeah, I think he's got home in a lot of places. I am actually tweaking with a list to try him out in X Force. Anyhow, I'm gonna go with the solid A.
Solid A. Okay.
Solid A.
And
I was
Brad.
leaning A plus too, for the record.
Okay.
I'll put that out there for when this tactics card comes out, because I don't know, I've convinced myself in my mind that he's gonna have a pyrotechnic style tactics card, and if he does, it's gonna be an A plus for me.
Well, there you go. All right, Brad, what are you gonna give Iceman?
B plus.
B plus?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, and you are the person who put him on the table so far.
Yep.
All right. I've got a question for you, Brad. Would you like for me to skip the comic books
No,
recommendation?
I'm good.
Okay. All right. Well,
You think he's gonna let you just not let him talk about X-Men comics?
Yeah, Fred, come on. This is why I didn't talk the rest of the episode, so I could talk right now.
all right, Brad. Tell us what comic books you would recommend that feature Iceman.
Okay, the first comic book I have is called Iceman. It's from 1984. It's by J.M. DeMatteis and Alan Cooperberg. So people may know that Bobby was recently outed as gay and has been gay in the comics for several years now. And what a lot of people don't realize is that for most of his history, he's been written as a closeted gay man. There were 2 writers who wrote him as gay without knowing it, and everyone else did it on purpose. This series is one of those people who did it by accident. So, in a recent interview, someone asked him about this, and the author, and he said that he did not do it on purpose, but he totally sees why everyone read this story that way.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's a trippy story. It is a cosmic adventure that is grounded in something very real of anxiety about who you are. It's a pretty good story. And it's wild and fun. So,
Does Iceman deal with cosmic things often?
not often. In this story, he sure
Okay.
does.
Okay.
That comic sounds really cool.
It is very cool. And it's a little trippy. It's a little trippy.
That's a joke because he's cold.
Thank you, Jared. Thank you.
Okay, the next recommendation is called All New X-Men, which is kind of a funny title. It's by Brian Michael Bendis, and then there's various artists. It's a funny title because it's the one where Beast brings their younger selves from the past to the present, because Cyclops is a terrorist, and he wants him to see how optimistic they used to be. And this is item number 47 on the list of Beast's sins.
Beast whom you hate.
Beast is a terrible person. Anyway, Iceman, they're all young in this, like high schoolers. Uh, Iceman is given more of a personality in this than he was in the original comics. He jokes a lot. He's easygoing. He loves his friends and will do anything for them. And he's a lot of fun in this. This is also where they out Iceman.
Okay.
Next is a series called Iceman from
Boy, there are a lot of those, huh?
for 2017. Yeah, I did. I skipped over one, and I skipped over. I'm not doing the last one, the most recent one either. But this is by Sina Grace and Alessandro Vitti. And Iceman's dealing with some personal stuff, like trying to come out to his parents. And of course, it's never a good time to be a mutant, with people trying to hunt them down and exterminate them. And Bobby leads teams in this. So he leads some X-Men, and then he leads the Champions of LA, which is a team he used to be on. And
Champions of LA?
yes.
I've never even heard of this.
Oh.
There's so many heckin' teams.
Okay, here's who's on the Champions, Fred.
Oh.
Iceman Angel, Ghost Rider.
Oh.
Hold on.
Which Ghost Rider?
Johnny Blaze.
Okay.
Black Widow, maybe, and one of the Russian girls. It's either Black Widow or Dark Star or both. There's weirder stuff too. I think Hercules.
Wait, what?
Yeah, Hercules. You know, the guy from
The
from
son
Greek
of
myth.
Zeus?
Yeah,
Like the god.
the
That
god. Yeah,
Oh God, what?
he's just a character in Marvel. Fred.
Are they over here fighting Nemean lions?
No.
Did you not? I got a question. Did you not know that Hercules was a character in the Marvel Universe?
No, I did not. I did not know that Hercules was a character.
He's in
This
one
is where
of the
we need
movies.
to. This is yeah, he is. This is where we need to start like all of these conversations when we bring up random stuff.
Yeah, like, isn't he also dead according to Greek myth? Like, he died in Greek myth.
Okay, and
Okay,
That-
whatever.
That's
I
Greek
don't know.
myth, not Marvel.
Also, this
Marvel.
team is fire. For the record,
They-
I looked up like the list of them online, and this is a list. This is an affiliation I would play the hell out of.
it's a weird group.
Moon Knight is a part of them.
I don't remember Moon Knight being on there. Also, this series, Iceman finally teams up with Firestar and Peter Parker Spider-Man for the first time in comics. Maybe. Because that's not a thing in the comics.
When are we gonna get Peter Porker? That's what I want to know.
I'm sure we will get him.
Also, it was Black Widow.
Yeah, okay. I think Dark Star shows up in that series as well.
It looks like a lot of people fought like with them. Yeah, and the Dark Star is an affiliated team member.
Yep. Okay. It's a weird team. That's a good book, though.
Okay, all right.
Just to
is that-
clarify on Brad's point, it literally the opening line of this, it says as a quote from Kate Bishop, and it says, "Holy crap! It's Hercules, Iceman, Black Widow, Ghost Rider, and Angel." But why? It makes no sense.
All right. Is that it for the comic book recommendations?
That is it, Fred.
Okay. Brandon, I'm throwing it over to you. what is an affiliation where you think that Iceman would shine? Do I want to say other than Web Warriors?
I feel like you want to.
Yeah, because we've
I-
already
I-
discussed how he's great in Web Warriors.
Yeah, I think he's gonna be a borderline slam dunk in that affiliation. Um, one that was teased there. I actually do really like him in Hydra under Baron Strucker.
Yeah.
That's a fun one that being able to just spread that slow around. Especially depending on if there's a tactics card that has something to do with a lot of characters being in a range that have slow. God, just being able to, and especially with Strucker, just being able to slow and then poison people seems kind of gross. But that's a fun little thing I hadn't thought about. I don't own a lot of the Hydra models, so I do forget about them a lot of the time. Unfortunately.
Yeah. It's easy
But,
to forget about Baron Strucker.
Yeah, boy, was there a lot of hype around him when everything came out.
Yeah.
But also under new first Avenger Captain America, being able to make sure you get the wild trigger for a power, being able to make sure you get that wild trigger to give out the slow, or the or the stagger. So basically, you have a 4 power 7 dice attack that's auto staggers. Well, stagger if you get
A
a
hit.
hit. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think those are some places that he could really shine that we haven't mentioned already, or I haven't mentioned because I'm the one that just is trying to inject this guy into my veins, which he would probably like. That's besides the point.
All right. Well, I think that's a pretty good recommendation. I think that the answer is is the one that I told you can't do, which is Web Warriors. Like that's one that is
he's great under Web
absolutely.
Warriors.
Yeah.
He's also, it's one of those like fun little things too. It's really funny because it's like he's also it's very relevant that like you probably don't want to play this character into Asgard, because they can just remove the special condition every turn.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so one of those weird things because they are an affiliation that is hurt bad by like slows and stuff. But old Thor Odin's son makes sure that that's not a problem.
Okay. Well, the only thing that is left is my non sequitur recommendation. Um. So I was looking at the. Oh God, I'm already forgetting his name. The actor who plays Iceman in the movies, and I wasn't blown away. I'm not blown away by much of his work, if I'm to be perfectly honest. No offense to the actor, no offense, but
So
I'm gonna.
in the new series or the old series?
The old series. Um, so what I'm gonna do here instead, it was very recently Groundhog Day in the United States, so I'm going to recommend the movie Groundhog Day. I watched it recently because of the whole Groundhog Day thing, and it holds up. It's a great movie. It's a classic. Bill Murray it's probably the best movie that he's ever done. Let's be frank. And that's including, I'm a huge fan of Ghostbusters, so
You're gonna rank Groundhog Day over Ghostbusters?
I am going to rank Groundhog Day.
He's right.
You heard me. I'm correct. So, that's what I'm going to recommend. Everyone go watch Groundhog Day. It is a great movie still.
Jared, you have to understand he totally missed on Natural Born Killers. So, I mean,
Yeah, he's dead. He's dead to me.
He also the actor that he was talking about is Sean Ashmore, which is
That's
one of the
it.
most famous movies he's been in. Is a movie called Frozen.
Yeah, okay. I'm not going to tell people to go watch Frozen. I think there are better Disney musicals than Frozen.
Nah, it's not that Frozen. It's the like suspenseful horror Frozen
Oh, I've never even
where
seen
they're
that Frozen.
they're like trapped on a ski lift, I think.
Oh, okay.
And like I don't know. I mean, it's probably not a great movie, but it's definitely they're like trapped on a ski lift and like they like sneak on a ski lift after stuff closed and it like shuts down and they're like trapped.
Okay.
Hey,
I've never even heard of this. It's also got the worst SEO that could possibly exist. Just being named Frozen.
hey,
Yeah, I'm
Fred,
sure it's not the greatest movie in the world, but I feel like it's better than the Groundhog's Day not making any sense.
Fred,
Uh,
Fred.
it's not. Okay, yeah. Okay. What? Yes. Yes, Brad.
Do you want to hear some Sean Ashmore trivia?
Sure.
In the show Smallville, while Clark Kent is still in high school, a bunch of people get superpowers from the kryptonite meteorites, and they get crazy and they try to kill uh, a bunch of people, and Clark stops them.
Okay.
One of those people is Sean Ashmore. So he gets powers and tries to kill some people, and Clark Kent stops him. Later, when he's in college, they meet this new guy named Jimmy Olsen, who's played by Aaron Ashmore, Sean Ashmore's twin brother. And nobody ever mentions that this new guy, Jimmy Olsen, looks a lot like that guy that tried to kill them in high school.
Huh. So Sean Ashmore has a twin brother.
Yes.
I
They
did not know
they're
this.
they're twins. Like they look exactly alike.
Okay.
And for the most part, both of them do mostly TV shows.
Yeah.
Yeah. That
Right.
was what it
That's
looked like just
I,
looking at
I think
his
Sean was on
filmography.
Animorphs, the TV show.
He
Animorphs. What
was.
a throwback.
He was, and I remember that show.
I love Animorphs, so
All right. Well, that's it for our show today. Thank you all for joining us, and thank you, Jared, for dropping in. It's always nice to hear from you.
Thank you guys for letting me come back. This was a lot of fun.
All right, and we will be covering Xavier next week. That is who we are slated to do. Until that time, I hope that all of you have a great week. Goodbye, everybody.
Have good games.